Markets are down across the globe today, and Bitcoin has followed suit. So, with price action breaking below key support and testing that $37,000 level, will Bitcoin see further downside action today, or will it avoid printing a lower low on the charts? Hey everybody, thank you for stopping by the Crypto Lit channel today. My name's Nathan. Please hit that like and subscribe button on your way in. So let's go ahead and jump into the Bitcoin chart today. Last week we talked about this ascending triangle pattern and how Bitcoin was breaking back down towards the support levels of this ascending triangle. We also had the potential of an inverse head and shoulders pattern that just didn't ever seem to play out. Bitcoin has now come down and tested that support level and unfortunately broken on through. So what we're seeing today is further downside action. It's actually broken below that support line and come down and tested that $37,000 area. So what we have to watch out for here is now we have this double top or M pattern in play. And Bitcoin hasn't come down and confirmed that pattern yet, but it's getting awful close. You'll see right here, it's already come down to the low 37,000s. If it goes much further, it's going to be equally as low as the bottom of that M pattern. Let's go ahead and flip over to the 4-hour chart and take a look at how it looks there. So on that 4-hour chart, you'll see this M pattern playing out here. And you can see Bitcoin still has a little ways to go before it confirms the bottom of that M pattern. Really, my feeling is if we come down to the mid 36,000 level, then we're basically confirming that pattern and we're likely to see further downside for Bitcoin. We'll go ahead and measure out this breakout if it goes down to the downside. What we want to do is take a line from the top of our M pattern there down to the bottom and drag that over to the level of where we would break that neckline of support, which is around that $36,000, low $36,000 level. If we break down at that level, we could potentially see a dive down into the mid to upper 20,000s for Bitcoin. Now there's been heavy support for Bitcoin at that low $30,000 level, 32 there, and 30 right there with 29 right here, and again that $30,000 support right there. So there is a good amount of support for Bitcoin, even if it does confirm this M pattern, but confirming that M pattern is likely to send it down into the low 30,000s to upper 20,000s at least. So oftentimes what you'll see in these ascending triangles, if it breaks down to the downside, you'll see it come down below the support line, come back and retest it now as resistance. And if it gets rejected there, you're definitely going to see some downside. But if it is able to get back above that resistance, then we could potentially see it go back up into that $40,000, mid $40,000 level. So there's a potential that it could be a breakout fake out. So it's very important that over the next 24 hours, we watch this level very closely. You know, that level of mid 36,000s, because if it breaks down below that, chances are we are definitely going to see some downside. And if it's able to turn back around and come back into that ascending triangle and get back above that support line, then things may not look so negative for us, and we may have the ability further on in the week to run back up to the 40s. But don't get me wrong, this is definitely a bearish sign for Bitcoin coming down below that support line. If I had to make a guess or give my gut feeling on it, I would say we're probably going to see downside back into the low 30,000s. It seems like there's just a lot of market uncertainty with the things going on globally. There was an announcement today that the president of the US is going to be making an executive order by the end of the week for cryptocurrencies. We knew that was coming, but we didn't know what the time period was going to be. Now it seems like it's imminent. It should be coming by the end of this week. And so that brings further uncertainties into markets that are already very fearful because of the global conflicts that are going on. Based on experience in the past, the pessimist in me believes that whenever the government's getting involved with executive orders or things like that, they're only going to mess things up. So I'm not very hopeful necessarily with the executive order coming out by Biden towards the end of this week. I do feel that once that executive order is made known, that that's going to have some negative implications on crypto markets in general. In fact, I've been holding off some movements and some trades because I knew that this was coming and didn't want to get blindsided by it. So that's kind of my recommendation to everybody else too. You know, we may see further downside. You know, if it hits that $36,500 level, then we're probably going to see that downside, and you can use that information to do whatever you'd like, whether you're going to put in a short or whether you need to get out of some positions that you're already currently in. But my recommendation is that we wait and see what happens with that executive order, see what kind of implications it has on the price then, and then after there's been a few days for that to settle, then go in and start making your plans on what trades you're going to make in light of that executive order that comes out. Now, I know that a lot of people outside the U.S. will be thinking, who cares if the U.S. makes any kind of declaration in regards to cryptocurrencies, but we do see that other governments, when they've made similar kinds of declarations, like India in the past, and of course China banning Bitcoin multiple times, it always tends to have a negative impact on the market as a whole. So large players like the US, like China, like Russia, like India, when they come out and they make announcements about cryptocurrencies, it does have an effect on it. So my recommendation again is hold off until this executive order comes out, see the implications of it and the kind of impact that it has on the prices. There's a chance maybe it drives it further down and gives us better buying opportunities off of that news. So that's something to look at towards the end of this week. Now, I've also been watching Cosmos, and if what you see here in Cosmos is that we have a little bit of an inverse head and shoulders pattern forming. If we can turn things back around and head back to the upside, and then look at breaking this neckline, which would show right here, then we could have a good run up on Cosmos. The other thing is, again, we're seeing the tightening of that EMA ribbon there. So if Cosmos is able to show some positive price action and come back up this way, it would definitely flip that EMA ribbon and would probably run back up to this neckline there, and we could see a good upside for Cosmos as well. One other coin I've been watching a lot lately is FTT, which is the exchange token, or the token for the FTX exchange. And you'll see here on the daily that FTT has got a really tightly constricted EMA ribbon. FTT has done pretty well, comparatively speaking, when looking at markets as a whole over the last month. It hasn't seen near the downside that some of these other coins have seen. It's just been bouncing back and forth between that mid to upper 40s and back down to that $39-40 range. Basically just trading sideways, and so this EMA ribbon really is starting to constrict. It did print a short signal on that EMA ribbon, but you'll also see that it did that back here as well. So it's been really kind of going back and forth. It could break either way. So if we see another upswing on FTT, maybe back to the mid 40s, I think that would be enough for it to again kind of flip that EMA ribbon. And if we see a long signal kind of printed there, and Bitcoin is doing okay and not tanking, then we could see further upside for FTT as well. So that's another coin that I've been keeping an eye on lately, and will continue to watch for some positive momentum. But both Cosmos and FTT, there's a lot of, like I said, constricting of that EMA ribbon, and a little bit of movement one way or the other is going to tell us where both of those are going to go relatively soon. I do expect a bit of a breakout on both of them coming within the next few days. So take a look at those. Of course, as I always say, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a guy looking at these charts and saying where I feel like things are going. Do your own research before you make any trades. So let me know what you think in the comments on where Bitcoin is going. Actually, as we've been doing this video, Bitcoin has seen a little bit of a run up, and it's gotten back over that $38,000 level. We'll see where it goes. Like I said, there's a lot of uncertainty in the markets at the moment, hopefully we see some upside. It's quite possible that we're going to see some downside down into the low 30s, though, in my opinion. So that's where we're at today. I did also want to cover a question I had earlier last week. At one of my last videos, I've mentioned that this is a training site, and that's the number one reason that I'm doing this one, is to kind of address some of the questions that new traders may have, people who are newer to the crypto space. And I had one person ask me about why using the candle patterns as opposed to using just a line graph when we're looking at the charts. And so one of the things I will say is you can use candlestick patterns to kind of indicate where reversals are going to happen. And if you go over to Google and do a quick search on the Binance candlestick cheat sheet, go ahead and click on the very first result that comes up, and you'll be taken over to the Binance Academy. And on that page, you'll see a cheat sheet for candlestick patterns that you can look at to help you kind of gauge what's a bullish candlestick pattern and what's a bearish candlestick pattern. There's also a lot of other 2 candle patterns and 3 candle patterns that you can look at. And I don't necessarily use this all the time in making long-term trades, but if I am looking at trying to find a bottom on something, then I'll look for some of these reversal patterns that could play out. Plus, the other thing I like about the candlestick patterns is the ability to look at an hourly time frame or a 4-hourly time frame and be able to know that from there what the highs and the lows were on the body of the candlestick and the wicks of the candlestick and what it actually went up to and down to, without having to go into smaller time frames to look on the line chart to see where the action had gone. So that's one of the reasons why I end up using the candlesticks. And I think most traders and most people who are watching charts use candlestick patterns as well. So if you have any further questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Again, let me know where you think Bitcoin is going over the next week. And if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, please go ahead and do so. Would love to have you follow me on this channel for further videos. Thank you for hanging out with me on Crypto Lit. I hope you have a great one. See you next time.